On our farm, a broken UTV isn't just inconvenient. We rely on all of our machinery for daily operations. If our equipment is in the shop, it's not just a matter of inconvenience where we can't go ride for the weekend. It stops us cold. You see, I've learned the hard way. When it comes to farm machinery, it's not about the bells and whistles. It's not about the common fads or even convenience. It's about reliability, performance, and the support network you need. I've just bought a new side-by-side, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through that process to help you determine what's the best fit for you and your farm. I'm Rod from Dowdle Family Farms, and 3 years ago, I never would have imagined that a side-by-side would be one of the most important pieces of machinery on our farm. As our farm has evolved, as we've started breeding more pigs rather than just raising feeders, and now we're selling a lot of weaned piglets, our needs, goals, and our options for machinery have changed as well. 2 years ago, I acquired a used Yamaha Rhino. It was actually initially borrowed, needed a little bit of work, and since then, you might say it has become mine. Several months back, I also purchased a used Cub Cadet Volunteer, that older 748cc model, and it's a good machine as well. But I bought this new side-by-side because I needed something newer, more reliable, and that would handle the heavy work that we do on our farm. Before I mention the machine that I purchased, let me tell you what I was looking for. First and foremost, I needed something reliable. It doesn't matter how wonderful it is if it is not reliable, if it is not running all the time with minimal downtime, and if it doesn't have an excellent support network that'll handle service requests immediately, I don't have any use for it. I was looking for something that would work. Another thing I was looking for is a larger bed. But because we're breeding our pigs as well, that means we have to maintain their and ration their feed. And to that end, we put the feed in buckets from our grain bin and then take them out to the field to ration the feed for the sows. When you're putting out anywhere between 300 and 900 pounds of feed a day in 5-gallon buckets, it's nice to have a bed that'll hold 10 to 15 buckets at a time. And of course, as we build fences, maintain fences, and all that kind of stuff, the larger bed helps as well. I wanted something that would handle bed weight, even though I don't use a lot of bed weight all the time. If we had some downtime with a tractor, it'd be nice to haul 1,000 gallons of water, which is going to be 800 pounds in the bed of the side-by-side, or at least pull it on a trailer. We do want something that would not get stuck too often. In Mississippi, we have summer that's usually hot and dry, and then we have the season of mud that is wet all the time. So I want something that'd be able to function in a muddy environment without getting stuck all the time. And just as importantly, if not most importantly, I am hard on equipment. Not really abusive, but if it can be torn up, I'll tear it up. So I needed something that was built tough, engineered tough. My primary purpose was for a side-by-side or a true utility-oriented vehicle. I was looking for a workhorse. I just was not impressed with so many of the popular brands that were considered workhorses in that environment. If you look at the true utility vehicles, you've got things like the John Deere Gator and the Kubota RTX models with the diesel engine and the hydrostatic transmission. They seem like they're mostly designed for golf courses or other environments where there's not a whole lot of mud. I was really interested in the diesel Kubota with the hydrostatic transmission. I had a guy that works around those. He's real good with equipment, and he says that those guys that use them around their place, he said they're rougher on them than I ever thought about being. I know a guy that used them for his work, and he said in the mud, all they do is get stuck. They'll go about 30 miles an hour, which is not that big of a deal to me, but the problem that they run into is that with that diesel engine, they don't have quite the acceleration to spin those tires fast enough to throw the mud out of the treads to get through the mud. They just go in and sink. Now, John Deere Gators have larger models, gasoline. I think they call them the crossover models, but to be honest with you, I've always shied away from the John Deere Gators, even though just about every other piece of equipment that I have on the farm is a John Deere. It was priced more expensively than some of the other machines, and I've just never been particularly impressed with their higher end crossover vehicles. Of the utility vehicles, you get a lot of popular models like the Can-Ams, Polaris Rangers, and many others. My dad has a Polaris four-wheeler. It had some factory issues that was not covered under warranty because the warranty had expired. I think Polaris should have dealt with that. It was an issue that kept his four-wheeler in and out of the shop for 3 or 4 months. But if I bought a Polaris Ranger and it was in and out of the shop for 3 or 4 months, I would have pitched a fit. I was really gun shy on the Polarises. Now, to defend the Polaris, let me just say that part of the issue was the local dealership and service company had a difficult time nailing down the issue. It was also a Polaris issue, but I was a little gun shy on that. Now, there are some cheaper side-by-sides like the CF Motos that have gotten a lot of really good reviews. I'm not real sure about the dependability of those manufacturers, and I wanted something that had a reputation for dependability. Saving $1,000 or $2,000 on a side-by-side, it's not worth the hassle if you can't rely on it day after day. I know the Honda four-wheelers have a great reputation. I was not super impressed with the Honda Pioneers. The models that I saw were the 4-seater models, and so if you have a 4-seater, you really don't have a use for the bed space. It seems like the Honda Pioneer is tackling more of the recreational market and not the work market. There are some farm packages, but the local dealership that I looked at didn't really have any. When I talked to the service technician that services the Hondas, the Yamahas, the Kawasaki's, he said that what I purchased, the Kawasaki Mule, is by far the most reliable option. I wound up purchasing this Kawasaki Mule FXT Pro. It's a long story. I did not plan on getting anything nearly this nice. I would not have paid for the trans bed with the equipment that comes on it. Specifically, it's the Mule Pro FXT 1000 Ranch Edition. And because I purchased a 2025 after they had already introduced the 2026 models, there were a few $1,000s in savings on this model. They have an FXR model, but that's more of a recreational, designed for speed and comfort. That FXT model, the T is the transform or whatever they call it. It basically indicates that you can go from single row seating to 2-row seating. If you're in single row seating, you have a larger bed. That bed is like 44 by 54 inches, which is quite large. Then within a minute or two, a couple people can slide the seat back and you can have it ready to carry 6 people, 5 passengers plus the driver. It doesn't have the reputation for being a real good mud vehicle, but I will say it has done surprisingly well. Thus far, I have not gotten it stuck. So far, I've used it to drag the drag harrow over 6 acres of cover crops. It's performed well, no problems. It's just made so many of the farming tasks easier, faster, and more efficient. The main reason that I purchased this Mule, though, yes, it has a 1000cc engine. Yes, it has the power and capability. When I'm on the road traveling between pieces of property, we've got 300 some odd acres scattered over about 1.5 miles. We do have to get on the road to travel from one to the other, even though they are across the roads from each other sometimes. And it is nice to be able to hit that 30 to 40 mile per hour mark on a side-by-side without revving the engine all the way up. I'm not real sure how fast the thing will go. I would imagine it'll hit 60 miles an hour, though I have not put that to the test. The Ranch Edition came with a hard top. It also came with a winch. I put this flip-up windshield from Super 8 TV on it yesterday, and then also installed a mirror, a fan for defrosting, but also if I'm sitting there idling, and then some lights as well. Interestingly, there's some options that make it much easier to add on additional things. For example, under the hood, additional power supply up to 15 amps, which makes installing light bars, fans, whatever, so much easier. And one final thing, I also use side-by-sides to help plant our fields. I may disc a field up and then drag it with a drag harrow with a side-by-side. That requires a tough machine to do that a lot. In addition to the reputation for reliability and performance, the two things that sold me on is our local dealer. I've mentioned they're the Yamaha dealer, and when I've had some issues with the Yamaha Rhino, some wheel bearings and CVT stuff, Their parts department and their tech department has offered me advice over the phone. They're incredibly helpful, very attentive to their customers' needs. And to be honest with you, that makes all the difference. Secondly, this machine is incredibly easy to do routine maintenance on. In fact, right here, you have a panel with access to the battery. That's your access to the battery and to the air filter. And then when you lift up the bed, you can see that there's the oil filter. It's easy access to the oil filter. Right here's your oil filter check. Real easy to maintain, real easy to service. Kawasaki has basically designed this machine so that it can be worked on at home. It does have a 20-hour break-in or 100-mile break-in. I reached that in 3 days. And you don't have to have an authorized dealer to change the oil, check the air filters, and everything else. The ease of maintenance, you can't beat it. If you are looking for a side-by-side or true utility vehicle for a farm purchase, I'd encourage you to look at the Kawasaki Mule. Depending on your setup though, you may find that a different machine like the Kubota, the RTX I believe is the model with a diesel, and the hydrostatic transmission is sufficient for you, especially if you're not in really deep, really thick mud. It may be something like the John Deere Gator, real utility vehicle there, is helpful for you. Or it may be that you're just doing a little bit of hunting and something like the Ranger or something else is just as useful. Well, thanks for watching this video. We'll have more videos out soon. If you're interested, I'm standing here on our old Dowdle farmstead. We've got YouTube videos on it. Just search for Old Dowdle Farmstead on YouTube. That's the second channel that kind of focuses on rebuilding this 100-year-old house, the barns, and the land as well. Y'all take care. Have a great day.